Good morning. Welcome to this early stream in the RAMPC Streamathon.
I'm awake.
I I'm Becks, and with me is Derekah. I do some marketing stuff for REM and love role-playing games. This is my first time GMing on stream, so I'm super excited. We're going to be playing Cthulhu Confidential today, and I'll toss it over to Derekah for whatever intro she wants to do for herself.
Hey, I'm Derekah. I do various things for REM, probably most known as Becks' partner. Um, that's not true. I just wanted to say it. Anyway,
It
I'm
is
excited.
it is true that we are partners. It is not true that's the only thing about you.
For sure, for sure. Um, unlike Bex, am not versed in the horror genre. I'm actually kind of a weenie, but we thought it'd be really cool to show a hi Jen, to show a game that you can play when you maybe don't have, you know, five other people to play something like Dungeons and Dragons with. So we thought this could be a cool opportunity for us to learn a new system and to just get to hang out at absurd time in the morning and play some games.
Yeah, super excited. Yes, it's a new system for both of us. So bear with if we need to address some rules as we go, but we'll try and keep it simple. Um, it is a gumshoe mystery that operates by rolling d6s. Um, and it's solving a mystery. So we are in 1937 LA, a place rife with corruption and the bright lights of Tinseltown, and you have old Hollywood clashing with um, ties and um, the rising tension of the international fascist versus Nazi rising versus, a lot of political stuff going on in the background here. So we jump right into our film noir mystery here. But before we do that, I just want to say that the prize at this stream that you can win is a set of metal trading cards from, I want to read this so I don't get it wrong, from Knights of G. Thank you, Knights of G, for the donation. Super, super cool prize. So enter um, hashtag RunPC in chat to get one entry. 100 bits is an entry, and one subscribe is 7 entries. You got to be present at the end of the stream to win the drawing. Yeah. And in the meantime, if you want to get more involved with REM and you like what we're doing here, check out our Discord. There are not a whole lot of gifts available to Derekah in a system like this. But what you can do is for a silver or gold tier gift, you can buy her a push, which is super, super helpful in the game. So if you want to help Derekah or our intrepid detective Dex Raymond in this case, feel free to send a gift her way. She might need it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that, let's jump in. Our story begins in the dingy Bunker Hill office of Dex Raymond's one-man private detective agency. Derekah, describe one thing in your office that would make it stand out from any other dingy office.
Um, I think that uh, Dax uh, Dex has this uh, like weird lamp that doesn't fit the vibe of everything else. And that lamp is one of the few things that he has from his ex girlfriend Delilah or Lila.
All right. What would you be doing on a Monday morning?
A Monday morning in the office, I am looking through case notes from my previous cases, hoping that someone walks in the door to just kind of distract me, give me something to pour everything into, um, and just in general, trying to commit to memory all the things that I've learned from previous cases, so that I know what's relevant to the future ones.
Absolutely. So you're pouring through old cases, trying to keep your mind off of her, and a dame walks into your office. She is tall and willowy in a immaculately cut skirt suit, with one of those long cigarette holders with a half smoked cigarette. And she walks in, um, calm, cool, and collected, and she says, "Are you Dex Raymond?
I am.
I am Margaret Deacon, and I have a case for you, if you'll take it."
I'm piqued my interest, and I gesture to a chair in front of my desk.
She sits in the chair reluctantly. She kind of notices how run down the place is, makes sure the chair is clean to sit on before she sits down. Um, Finds it to her begrudging satisfaction.
Mm,
And she says, before we get into the specifics, I hope you know that this is, discretion is required. My family is a bit high profile, and I would like to keep some of this information to myself if we can. Um, that having been said, something needs to be done. And with that, she launches into her story. Um, 6 weeks ago, my younger sister Helen went missing. Um, she disappeared. Helen's always been one for the nightlife, so it's not unusual for her to be gone for several days at a time, but she was gone for a full 2 weeks, and I obviously that is not normal. Uh, and so, we looked and looked and didn't know where she was. And then 4 weeks ago, she just turned up, wandering downtown LA, just in a absolute state. Um, she was only in like a shift. It had blood on it. Um, she had bruises and some scrapes. I mean, the cops recognized her, um, due to, our family. Um, and they brought her back home, but she didn't recognize me when she got there. And you see that she takes a minute to sort of collect herself. Um, and you can tell she's really disturbed thinking about it. Um, just she didn't even recognize me. She hasn't done anything except stare at the wall and mumble ever since she's been back, and she's been all but mute, honestly, even though I've been doing the best I can and giving her the best care money can buy, and it's not doing anything. Of course, the police were no help. They did a half-hearted investigation, but nothing useful. And I mean, at the time, they I didn't push them because, if Helen had gotten mixed up in something scandalous, I would rather have that information under my control and not the cops because, who controls the cops? But I admit I might have waited too long to take action. That was a month ago that the cops finished their investigation, and I was hoping I was hoping that Helen would show signs of recovery, but she just hasn't been getting any better. And the more that I wait, the more I realize I really want to catch the sons of bitches who did this. And then she takes a long drag from her cigarette to like center herself, and she said, "I know someone knows something about this. She didn't just wander out into the street and lose all of her memories one night. Something happened, and I want to know what it is." Um, you would know with your connections, having introduced yourself as Margaret Deacon, you would know that excuse me. Her father, Roscoe, is sorry, I'm just trying to find what business he's in. He's made a fortune for himself.
Ooh,
Um, on the
lawyer.
up, and he has handed over his fortune to his daughters, Margaret and Helen, at his upon his retirement. So you would know that they're pretty high profile. They're like the Hiltons. Um, and Margaret tends to be the one who takes care of business. That's what you would know about them based on just being around.
Yeah.
And she says, I I just need someone to look into this for me. And then there's a silence as she waits to see if you have any other questions for her or if there is more that you need.
Yeah. Um, I would like to, I don't know, maybe assess her honesty around. She says that uh, for well, maybe I'll ask a question and then I'll assess honesty. You said you wanted to be the first of all, this sounds like a horrible ordeal for you to have gone through, your sister to have gone through, and for your family. I heard of your dad, um, good guy, given his prominence and the city we live in. I'll be glad to help. Um, Discretion, understood. One of the things that I do and do well. But I will need more information and um, honesty. So I want to start with maybe a more delicate question. You said that your sister, if your sister was up to something untoward, that you would rather be the one to know that. Did you have any reason to suspect that that might be the case?
Yeah, you with your assess honesty, you know that she is used to putting on a veneer of like PR when she discusses family matters. Um, and you can tell that she's not lying to you about anything,
Mm.
but she's skillfully maneuvering around having to say um, anything bad about her family. But with that push of like, uh, asking directly about what Helen was involved in, um, you see she sort of sags a little bit. You also, on that, notice that when you say her father is a good guy, she sort of glances away for a second.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
you can tell there's just a flash of resentment before she composes herself. Um, yeah, she says, "Oh, well, Helen, she's always been a little wild, and I've always been the responsible one of the two of us, honestly. Um, and I confess I have not always been able to conceal my disapproval of Helen's waywardness. She's juggling, I mean, as far as I know, she was juggling several men, um, and oh, gambling, I believe, a little bit, and just living on the wild side. She never shied away from the nightlife, we'll put it that way. Um, despite all that, she was a very vibrant personality.
Mm,
I'd like to see her returned to her vibrancy,
of
and you
course,
can tell it's hard for her to think about. Um,
of course. Are there specific places when Helen would go out that she would find herself at? For example, particular club um, or restaurant or anything of the sort.
I didn't get involved in all that. I honestly tried to stay far away from all of her business, frankly.
Mm,
Um, she was a few years ago, my mother became ill and passed away. That's when my father decided to retire. Um, but at that point, when my mother was ill, she started talking some nonsense about auras and secret masters and pyramids, and I don't know who dragged her into that nonsense, but I know that she was seeing um I remember her saying the phrase argent light quite a bit. Um and it just I think that they might have something to do with her craziness, because of course all of that is crazy.
mm,
I don't know where she went necessarily, but um she also I'm trying to remember. She had a few men, I believe, but the one that came around was Marshall Daly. He's a screenwriter at Capitol Pictures. I only met him a handful of times. Um, I don't know that he has. I don't know whether he has anything to do with this, but he was doing. That's
mm,
one of the things.
yes, yes. Uh, you said the cops investigated.
They
Um,
did.
can
Frankly, it was. Sorry, go for it.
yeah. I think before she answers, can I think through? Maybe this is um, I don't know if this is like law maybe or streetwise. But um, what like do I know something of the ways in which the police would navigate a high profile case like this? You're kind of giving a little smile, which tells me I asked a good question.
Yeah. So I would call that cop talk. You
Top
are
talk.
familiar with the cops.
Yes.
Um, and you would know that a well-connected rich girl like Helen could get into a lot of trouble and count on the police to keep it quiet. Um, Not only that, but you would also know that most of the cops in this town are run by the mob. So if there was any reason that the mob might be involved, they almost certainly wouldn't find anything useful in their investigation.
Yeah.
You yourself
Um.
are not unfamiliar with the mob and have a
uh,
couple of good connections there, but
yes. Um. Yeah. So I think I say you say the cops investigated. And they did not. I understand they did nothing useful. What is it that they did do?
I'm not entirely sure. I told them she went missing and they looked into it, and they came back and they told me they weren't able to find out anything about it. So, at that point I was just mostly happy that Margaret was back, but I have increasingly become dissatisfied with the fact that we don't know who did this at
Mm,
all. We don't know anything. And the police were not helpful in the least.
all right. Looking at my notes. Da, da, da. Um, what in the 2 weeks she was gone? Um, what hmm, I guess is it unusual to not hear from Helen, or for Helen to kind of be in the wind for extended periods of time?
She It's not necessarily unusual for her to be gone for a week at a time. A
Hmm.
week at a 2 weeks was pushing it, and that's when I started to get quite worried, when I hadn't heard from her for over a week. But, several days at a time, she definitely was out and about. Even though she technically lives at the manor with me, she often was not there.
And I'm assuming when she's not there, she's usually staying with one of her uh, gentlemen.
I try not to know much about that.
Understood.
I wish I had
And
paid closer attention, frankly.
mhm. um,
And your assess honesty, like, she's
no, I
not
was just looking at
lying.
my abilities. Yeah,
Yeah, she's not lying per se, but you can tell that she's maybe not going to speak on the
I
actual nitty-gritty at this point. You
mhm.
get the feeling that she's
Can
just
I
not going to talk.
right? Is that do I feel like if I if I pressed, like if I was able, if I did some other thing, she would, or this is not the time.
I think you would know because you've worked with enough people like her that she needs to see some evidence of your commitment, like, through this investigation before
I
she's
need to
willing to
come
say
back with something of
yeah.
interest before she'll. Okay. Um. I would just like to reassure, like, do some reassurance.
Mhm.
Again, that um, w- when I find things, I will let you know, and you know uh, only. No one outside of the relevant people. Um, for example, uh, my trustworthy sources and experts, studies from time to time will know. Our conversation here or anything that comes up, and I will do all that I can to see, to yeah, to catch the brutes that um, that left your sister in such a state.
You see as you've been talking, she leans in really hungrily wanting this reassurance. She reaches the end of her cigarette, puts the butt in your ashtray, and puts a new one in. Um, and she says, "Frankly, I came to you because I know that you're the type who can't be bribed and doesn't back down. And once you have a case, you see it to the end." And she asks you to light her cigarette as she leans across the desk. "Will you see this to the end for me?"
I strike a match, light the cigarette, and just simply say, "I will."
And for some behind the scenes, we've chosen every person starts with a starting problem in this game. Dex's starting problem is that he is lonely and he's not over his ex. So now, as the first challenge of the game, I'm gonna need you to roll cool, or if you'd like, you can trade your problem card for just getting the problem card smitten with Margaret. So you can choose to fail and become smitten, or you can roll to try and keep it professional.
um, ooh. I mean, I can't not take an opportunity to roll right now.
For sure.
Um,
Go ahead and roll cool for me.
but I wouldn't be mad about failing. Okay, I have one die in cool, um, and
You
that
need a
die
4
came
or
up.
higher.
I got a 5.
All right. That means you've gotten the best possible outcome here. You can see why 100 guys would fall in love with a woman this glamorous and this smart. Fortunately for you, you're not one of those guys. Gain edge number 1, self-possessed.
Ooh. Okay.
So the way this system works is on the challenges that I call, they have specific problems you can get if you do poorly and specific edges you can get if you do well, and those last beyond the scene to affect the larger game.
Okay. And this is Edge.
Edge number 1.
Edge 1, self-possessed. Okay. Amazing.
Great.
And
Having
this
kept your cool.
will say, sorry, I'll just read off
Yeah,
real
what
quick
is the edge?
for people. The edge is, oh no, what did I do? Okay. The edge is a show of self-control. Gives you the confidence you'll need if this case gets hairy. Spend for an extra dice on cool or stability or a +2 bonus to any other general or mental test.
Okay.
Nice.
With that, and with your reassurance that you will see it to the end, she leaves your office. What do you do next?
Um, I'm I take some time to look over my notes to to highlight some things. Um,
Do you want to take a 10-minute break just to get your
uh,
thoughts in order, or
no, not yet,
yeah?
not yet. I think I got another scene in me.
All right.
I think so as I'm navigating how to my options, I feel like I could go talk to my sources in the cops. Uh, one of my investigator sources. I can look into this Argent Light thing. I also have a source that's a fortune teller, Madame Eva. I don't know. And then the other thing is I can look into Marshall Daly. Um, these are all I feel like valid options to go. I think Bex needs to figure out what has already been figured out, if anything. And so is probably going to speak to Ted, Sergeant Ted, an LAPD detective.
All right. Give me just a moment here.
So I think he's he understands um kind of the system and how it works, and is
Mm-hmm.
and is wary of just popping in to go see Ted. So he's gonna give him a call.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you call up Ted, and what you learn is, yeah, no, I wasn't assigned to the Margaret Deacon case, but there wasn't much to look into, frankly. She disappeared for a bit, popped back in, and wasn't the same. We did some preliminary searching, and we weren't able to find anything on it. Um, he lowers his voice on the phone and he says, "Between you and me, um, there were reasons we didn't look further based on who was involved. I don't super want to say more because I do like my job,
Understood. Um, understood. If you had to point me in a direction, what direction would that be?
Uh, Hard to say.
Hmm. Did do you know if Helen went to the hospital to get assessed?
No, we took her straight home.
Okay.
Her sister didn't want that type of publicity.
Okay. Um, I just wondered. I know Margaret mentioned that she had cuts and bruises. So,
Yeah,
uh,
superficial. When we picked her up, she wasn't really injured in any serious way. She had a couple of really light scrapes. Not honestly nothing that would explain the amount of blood that was on her shift, but
mm, meaning that the blood more than likely wasn't hers.
I don't know. It was never tested. When I say we did an overview sweep, we did an overview sweep.
Noted. Thanks, Ted.
Yeah. So you know that the police are conspicuously uninvolved, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which leads you to
Which
believe
is
that the mom is active
yes,
here.
absolutely. Um, that is exactly what I believe. And I don't like it, frankly.
For sure.
I would like to. Um, uh, could I talk to Madam Ava?
About Argent Light?
Yes.
Absolutely. Let me
Um,
check.
I think I will go in to see her.
You go in to see Madame Ava?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah,
Because
I think
sorry, real quick. The mom talked a lot about auras, masters, and pyramids,
mhm,
and Ava works at a storefront, her storefront palm reading joint on Hollywood Boulevard, which is steps away from the Musso and Frank Grill and Grauman's Egyptian Theater.
mhm. Absolutely.
I'm just like dun dun dun. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
coming together. I still know nothing.
You talk to Ava, and she says, "Argent Light, let me think," and she's behind the counter at this storefront. Um, she's doing restocking as she's talking to you, various crystals and potions and things of that nature, um, which she would tell you most of it is hooey, but,
Yeah.
she believes there are a couple of things of note.
I
She
I have a small bottle of Kentucky bourbon that I have brought her.
Okay.
But she loves it.
She is more than happy to help you. She goes ahead and takes that and stashes it under the counter for later. Um, and then she thinks about it, and she takes it back out and takes a quick sip, and then puts it away again. She says, "Hmm, Argent Light, that sounds really familiar. Where have I heard that before?" Oh, um, and it finally comes to her. She says, "Oh, that's, Clara Nable's thing. Clara, she works out of um a refitted bungalow that she's turned into some sort of spiritualism hub in on Loma Linda in Hollywood. Um she is
Can I get that?
interesting.
Can I get
Normally I
that
have
name
a
again?
Clara Nable.
Laura Nable. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
she's interesting. Um she believes about in something like secret masters are ruling the world and there's light happening. Um I don't know, I've only been to a couple of her meetings. And frankly, it seems like mostly what she wants is for people to pay exorbitant amounts of money to her to be involved in her community. But I don't know, something about her, I wasn't able to write her off entirely as a nut.
Hmm.
Why do you need to know about Argent Light? I wouldn't expect you to be interested in that.
Uh, Personally, I'm not. Professionally, I'm on a case. Um,
Oh.
you tend to have a good head about what's a hoax, and what maybe you think, I don't know, has merit or whatever. What is it about her um, that you can't just say she's in it for the money?
Uh, there were a few things. I don't know. I've been to many seances and many meetings. It's kind of my thing. Um, and you get a nose for when someone is actually sensitive to the other side and when they're not.
Mm,
And you as Dex can decide how much you believe in in spiritualism, but you know that Ava is a believer.
yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that he doesn't believe in it, but he does respect the kind of balance that he finds in Madame Eva. So he's not gonna. He doesn't make fun of it, or he isn't derisive or anything like that. Uh, just out of respect for her.
Hmm.
But it's all the same to him.
Absolutely. She gives you the address to the place on Loma Linda that the Argent Knight meets.
Um, when was the last time you've been to one of these meetings? And
Oh,
did you see anyone there of note?
um, I went. Oh, when did I go? Not for a few years now. I went when she was first starting just to see sort of what it was about. You know, I like to keep my ear to the ground, as it were. But I
The
haven't been since.
competition.
Absolutely.
Okay. Um. Uh. Hey, one of the things that was mentioned is there's someone who has been involved with this Argent Light, and they talked about, like you said, like lights, auras, masters, but they also mentioned pyramids
Hmm.
that seem.
I I don't know that that was a big part of her teachings, from what I know.
Mm.
Uh,
Then I look across and I see the Egyptian themed theater, and I go,
right.
I wonder.
Yeah, no, that's more of the shtick of the person next door.
Ah, yes, for sure.
You get
Um,
the feeling that uh Margaret was listing off various random things and maybe pyramids were not a big part of what Helen was talking about. It was just, she
mm,
wanted to list some of the most
it's just like it's like the bizarre mumbo jumbo.
exactly.
Um,
And
is
because Egyptology-based spiritualism is popular at this time,
yeah,
um, she said that as a way to summarize, like, that mumbo jumbo.
yeah, okay, awesome. That's a good way to keep me from running down a rabbit hole I didn't need to go on. Because I fully, for some reason, went pyramids. That's the only
I
important
saw you
thing.
do that, and I said, "No, we don't have time." The other thing that's important to note is it may seem like I'm handing out information, but these games, are run on the premise that solving it like, not giving information is the most boring thing to do in a mystery. So, as long as she asks the right question to the right person, she will get all the information that she needs. Um, and if she's
And
missing something,
more
I
than
might
that, too.
yeah. Yeah, so the thing about this is less about not having what you need and more about finding what's important, which is one of the things we just did.
Hmm. Okay. Well, Ava, don't drink that too quickly. It'll be a while since, probably till I finish this case before I can afford another. So,
Mhm. Yeah, she grabs your hand as you go to leave and she says, you know your aura is a little troubled, Dex. If you ever need a reading, just let me know." And with that,
I don't.
well,
Not,
I'll
not
get
gonna
you
turn
one
the
of these
page.
days. And she takes another swig from the bourbon as you leave.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Um, Probably a 10-minute break while I navigate what my next lead to follow is.
Sounds good.
If
We'll be
well,
back in 10.
that's good with Fort.
All right, we are back trying to solve the mystery of what happened to Helen Deacon. So you've just talked to your source, Ava, um, and she's told you a little bit about the Argent Light.
Yeah, I head to the address she gave me.
Absolutely. You see a low bungalow, Pueblo style, refitted for Hermetic spiritualism at the address she gave you on Loma Linda Avenue in Hollywood. Um, as you walk in, a confident woman um, introduces herself to you as Clara Nabel. Um, you see she's adorned with middle-aged glamour in a long caftan that flips over one shoulder. She has a turban, all the trappings of uh, a spiritualist.
Hmm.
And yeah, she introduces herself, puts out a hand to delicately shake. She says, "Hello, I'm Clara Nabel. Welcome to the Order of the Argent Light."
Hello. Um, and at a poor attempt to make a joke, he says, "I'm sure you know why I'm here."
"Oh, you. Yeah, your spirit is a little troubled."
I've been told that today already. Yes. That
And she hasn't quite let go of your hand and she flips it over and looks at your palm and she says, "Oh, your love line is a bit broken. Did you know that?"
I snatch my hand back and I
Hmm.
say, "So tell me," oh, that made me so mad. Okay, I'm fine. Whew. Um, so
Darling, you need to let some light in. You need a little bit of what I have to offer.
uh, tell me more about what you have to offer.
Well, we at the Argent Light are trying to prevent the destruction of humanity. It is a really noble goal. Um, as I'm sure you know, there are dark forces everywhere. They are trying to bring about the end of the world, and frankly, all we can do is channel Nodin's light. And you see she gets a reverent look when she says the name Nodin, as that is the deity she follows. We channel the Argent Light through to the secret masters so that they can keep at bay the forces of darkness in the world. And all we need from you is a road paved with your good intentions.
I mean, I always heard that the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes, well, the paving materials from Hell and Heaven are probably the same. And she finishes that.
Wait, why was that such a good response? Okay, for sure. Uh,
So how can I help
what?
you? Are you interested in joining? I can tell you about our different membership tiers.
I have a question about possible members.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. Any uh notable um people that have been drawn to your devotion?
Oh, darling, there are so many wonderful people who are in our community. Some who you would never even suspect, honestly. Um,
I would like to flatter.
okay.
Um, and I think I'd say, uh, as alluring as the um, the idea of the um, of saving the world from sure destruction is, I'm sure that has nothing on the alluring light that you radiate. Um,
Well,
and who has been caught in that light?
well, and you see that your flattery does a bit of work for you. She says, "Well, I don't mean to brag, but do you know the Deacons?
Oh, I do. And I feign like surprise.
Helen Deacon is one of our very own. Of course, I haven't seen her in quite a bit, um, but I'm sure she's still devoted.
Hmm.
She became very devoted to us a few years ago when her mother was ill. She came to us so troubled, and she was able to really find purpose in our cause.
Well, it sounds like it was good for her.
It was. It really was, and she was able to do so much. She was able to channel so much light through to the secret masters.
Well, what does that mean exactly?
Well, you open up your third eye and you look to the heavens, and
That's right.
light pours in from Nodens himself, and it spreads throughout your body out into the world. And people can't help but see, Helen was such a vibrant personality, and I'd like to think that most of that was because of the light she was able to channel. Of course, she also donated in other ways to our cause.
Monetarily?
Among other things, really the money is secondary, but yes, of course, we are operating on the material plane and money is involved.
Sorry, Jen just said also channels so much cash, and that killed me.
You get the feeling that that is what she's alluding to.
Uh,
Um, her light did dim, honestly, in the past 6 months or so. I suspect that Margaret, who is sadly close-minded, um, tightened control of the purse strings a bit. And you see she quickly that was more of an aside to herself. She doesn't realize she's fully said that out loud. And she moves
absolutely,
on. And she says,
absolutely.
I'm hopeful that she'll return to us.
Hmm. You said it's been the past 6 months um, that her um, particular involvement has happened. When was the last time you've seen her? Helen,
Well,
that is.
I saw Helen a week before she she disappeared. I do know that she was gone for a couple of weeks. Um, and a dark cloud hung over her, and she gets a face of genuine trouble as she says this. She came to me for an aura reading, and I detected oh, the spoor of an ancient and gnawing evil, and I sensed that it was something that she walked over unsuspecting, and it hung on her. I had a vision of a great lever, once alive but now stilled. And of course, I offered to conduct a protective rite for Helen, but naturally, that's quite expensive, and Helen would need to pay for the supplies. And well, she said she would, but she never came through.
I think that uh, I think X uh, eyes kind of glazed over at this, just like the dramatics of it all was a
Mm-hmm.
little too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
And not because I was sleepy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so uh, if she were to bullet point the information that she gave,
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple. She continues on her spiel, and then I will do a bullet point
absolutely, thank you.
summary. Now that she's started talking about Helen, she's sort of on her own diatribe, and you're just there for the ride. So this
Gushing,
is more of an
yeah.
internal monologue that she is saying to herself, and she said, "Of course, I'm sure the spiritual darkness has quite a bit to do with her. Her mother took so ill so quickly, and then her father, that gambling wastrel, just couldn't keep it together, and so she had to. It was so hard for her." And, perhaps to compensate for the weakness of her father, Helen always was, drawn to older men and the worst of them. Ugh, I kept telling her she couldn't see that Whitey Alexander anymore, but she just kept going back, and
Never,
I for
never
sure
trust a whitey.
never trust Whitey.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and so she sort of comes back to herself and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. When the darkness of the world overcomes me, I can't help but feel burdened down." And then she takes a minute to like point her head towards the heavens and spread out her arms, clearly like she is trying to channel light into her body to like clear out the dark spirits.
Mm,
She says, "So, when can I expect you at our next meeting?"
mm. Uh, let me think about it. Um, you know, uh, this is not something that I would undertake lightly.
Absolutely, as you shouldn't. Um, do you take the time to seem gullible or receptive at all?
Um, I think I want to leave her with enough hope so that if I need to come back for more information, I haven't offended her.
Mhm. Yeah, I think she sees that you're on the fence and she leans in conspiratorially and she says, "I actually happen to know one of the secret masters lives here in LA.
Oh,
I just so you know, we're not faking it. I mean, not that I need to prove anything to you, but no, he lives right here in Los Angeles. Um, do you know William Dudley Pelly? He had a vision of what he calls God and Christ, but frankly, it was Nodens. He just needs to dull it down a bit for the public. Um, yes, and he's one of our main contributors that we funnel much light to him in his force efforts. Um, yeah, you would know William Dudley Pelly. He wrote of his near-death experience in 1928, and he says he did enter the presence of God and of Christ. And a little more research into him would reveal more.
oh, for sure. Okay. 'Cause- oh, that is helpful to know. I
Yeah,
will ponder this. Um,
absolutely.
and uh, he goes he goes to wave goodbye, uh, and then goes like this, um, to hide his palm and just kind of like remembers what she said about his
Yeah,
love of writing. Yeah.
absolutely. Um, she looks at you with a moment of shrewdness and she says, "If you're connected to the Deacons at all, if you happen to run into Margaret, let her know that I would very much like to see Helen. She has suffered a mystical injury and it cannot be healed by the doctrines of blind science."
Uh, Noted. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, you head out.
Whew. I do. I do.
All
Um,
right, so to do that little bullet point, uh, you know that Helen was donating large amounts of cash to the
mhm.
Order of the Argent Light, but stopped around 6 months ago. Um, and Clara thinks that that's because Margaret wouldn't let her anymore. She doesn't like Margaret much.
Yes.
You know, a piece of information that Margaret did not mention about her
Or the gambling thing.
gambling. You know that Helen is drawn to older men, uh, and
Yeah.
one that was mentioned was Whitey Alexander, who is a gangster. You would know that Whitey
Oh.
Alexander. You would know Whitey. You actually have a connection to Whitey, I believe.
Oh.
Which you know he runs a really swanky gambling joint called the Allegria. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know that the last time Clara saw Helen was a week before she disappeared, and she had according to Clara, a dark cloud over her. Um, and Clara, when she read her aura, beheld a vision of a great lover once alive but now stilled, and an ancient gnawing evil.
A great lever, once
Hmm.
alive, but
But
now
now
dead.
still.
Oh, that's a puzzle I have to figure out.
Hmm.
Okay, a dark cloud over her like a week before she disappeared.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last thing you know is that they were channeling money to William Dudley Pelley.
Mhm. And Dudley Pelly is someone that I'm going to research now, I think.
All right. Yeah, you use your research skill to look into William Dudley Pelley and let me know when you're ready to find out what you find.
Mm, 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 Okay.
Yeah, you look up some old newspaper clippings and other materials in the library, and you're able to find um, that Pelley is an avowed racist and anti-Semite, and uh, he's building a version of his own. He runs a spiritual training outfit that he calls Galahad College in South Carolina. Um, and after Hitler assumed chancellorship of Germany in 1933, Pellew is positioning himself for a similar rise in America by forming the Silver Legion. So he's using this spiritualism to create his version of brown shirts, um,
Hmm.
but with like a
So
silver lame
Pelly
aesthetic.
Pelly is one of those people mentioned in this module that was like a real person.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
I believe he
Okay.
was a real, or based on a real person.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, which is the other cool thing about this system is that they take people from history, like Guy McAfee, who you'll meet later, or Whitey Alexander, Bugsy Siegel. These are all characters who are alive and well in the 1930s in LA, which is cool. Um, yeah, so he publicly presents himself as a militant Christian, and he ran for president last year under the banner of his Christian party. Um, according to Pelly, his near-death moment took him into the hypno-dimensional realm, and in addition to revealing his sacred birthright as the ruler of America, it granted him powers of
Wow.
X-ray vision, levitation, and astral projection. Pelly claims to be able to teach these to his students at Galahad College.
All right.
Research also,
You just told me a lot of wild things.
yeah,
Okay.
no, he's
The hypno what dimension?
into the hypno-dimensional realm.
Hypno dimensional realm. Okay.
Yeah, that's where he says he went.
And then he
Um,
has X-ray vision, levitation, and what else?
an astral projection,
Wild.
and is also the sacred birthright ruler of
Yeah, no,
America,
yeah, I didn't miss that.
for sure. Um, yeah, he also used to live in LA full time, but has mostly put that place behind him. You get the feeling that he keeps residence here mostly to continue receiving the light from Clara, so she doesn't redirect her funds to a different person.
Okay. So, like, as in he spends most of his time not in LA, but he has like
Yeah,
a home here. Okay.
has a here.
Goodness gracious.
I know, he's crazy. Or maybe
Wow.
he's not.
Uh,
Ooh.
That's the real horror. No. Um, birth. Wow. His the birthright is to be the ruler of
Mhm.
the United States.
Yes, but he's doing that through being just a real dirtbag.
Right. Wow. Okay. Is I want to go to shoot. There's a couple of things I want to do. Do I know if Pelly is in LA?
Um, would you like to find out?
Should that be streetwise?
Yeah,
Or
I think so. You can attempt to, like, go to his house before you meet with him and see if maybe you see him there.
okay. Not to do the thing where I search all the leads at once, but
Mhm.
I do feel like I need to go back to uh I, I feel like Helen is someone I do need to go back to once I found out
Mm.
something new. Um
Do you mean Margaret or Helen?
Sorry, Margaret is someone I need to go back to.
Mhm.
Is talking to Helen an option? I didn't think about that. I could talk to Helen. I don't want to right now. Because now that's too many that's too many things. Okay.
Sure. Yeah,
And I'm
if you
trying to
wanted
think,
to
I
visit
know that hmm?
sorry? If you
Uh,
wanted to visit Margaret again, you certainly could. Um,
the problem is I don't have anything I think of substance to bring to her. I just have something that she wasn't forthcoming about, and that is not the same.
I mean, you're welcome to go and talk to her if you'd like.
For sure, 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 for sure. Uh, drawn to older men. One of them is Whitey Alexander. Whitey Alexander owns a gambling place. Is that
Mhm.
the thing? The dad was a gambler. Okay. I'm gonna go. I want to maybe do research. Can I research um uh Whitey, or I don't think he's listed on my sources.
It's not he's not one of your sources, but,
I just
um,
know of him.
yeah, you know of him, and I think your backstory is, like, optionally you might have an in with him, like, you did him a favor one time. So he looks favorably on you. You know Whitey. You've worked with him like 1 or 2 times in the past on various cases. And you know him to be cooperative so long as you're not in the way of his cash flow.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to Whitey.
All right. There we
People had to entertain themselves before TV was invented somehow.
go. All right. At the end of a long, sloping road in the suburb of Burbank, not too far from Warner's Universal and Disney Studios, nestles a sprawling ranch-style house run as an illegal casino called the Alegria. What you would know, what your streetwise would tell you about the Alegria is that it's owned and run by Whitey Alexander, who you've worked with a couple times before. And Whitey enjoys a reputation as a mobster you can depend on if to treat you right, provided that you're either lining his pockets or not in the way of his cash flow, like I told you.
Yeah,
Um,
I vaguely remember that.
oh, and here's the thing: if you'd like to have a pre-established, respectful relationship with him, you can do a streetwise push.
Oh, I could spin the push?
You can spend a push. The first push of the game.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right,
I'm gonna push and he likes me for whatever reason.
for sure. Yeah, you worked with him on a case, and he helped you put away someone that was also, as a fringe benefit, helpful that he wanted put away. Um, yeah. So you roll up to the Allegria.
Okay.
At this point, it's around dinner time, which is right when things are starting to pick up. It's pretty dead during the day. Um, it is a swanky joint. You pass several, you see several people of note. You see Chico Marx, who was really famous in the 30s.
Yeah.
He's flirting with the hat check girl as he talks about his losses as you walk in. You see a a singer in a slinky evening gown in the corner, um, warbling a Cole Porter song. And Bing Crosby nods from one of the tables as he
Wow.
plays roulette and blackjack.
Fine.
Yeah, so you see tables of craps, of roulette, you see blackjack games, you see everyone everywhere. And your streetwise would also let you note that there are wide-shouldered watchers throughout the room, who are clearly packing heat beneath their tuxedo jackets.
Definitely noted.
At um yeah, at a corner table you actually see Roscoe Deacon playing gambling away.
Oh. I want to uh like a I want to position myself as I'm trying to have this conversation with Whitey. I want to
Mhm.
try to position myself where I can also keep an eye uh on him, on Roscoe.
Sure, absolutely. So since you made the streetwise push, you spot Burl Treehorn, who you know is a casino functionary, um, and you go and you can talk to him to request a meeting with Whitey.
What's his name?
Burl Treehorn.
Earl. Um, I think I'll walk over. Hey, Treehorn, how you doing today?
Hey, Dex Raymond, how's it going?
It's going. It's going. Apparently, my love line is broken. Whatever that means.
Uh, I hear ya. It's
Yeah.
always the dames.
Mm, you know, you're not wrong. God, I miss her. So Whitey.
What about Whitey?
Is he in today? Can I get a meeting?
Oh yeah, he's in. I can ask if you want to just hang tight for a few minutes. I can get you in on Whitey's
Yeah.
Ross.
Think I can add a drink to my tab?
Absolutely. You know I'm not a bar guy. We've had this conversation. The bar's right over there. But
For sure. But I am going to tell them that you are paying for it. And he walks over to the bar.
you see Burl rolls his eyes and he goes to find Whitey. You head to the bar. Um, and actually, since you have to cool your heels for a little bit while you wait to see if Whitey can meet you, I'm gonna go ahead and need you to roll cool to avoid gambling.
Oh, that's probably not gonna be a that's a 6.
For sure. Yeah, you need a 7 or more to get an advance. So, a 6 is
I can't.
middling, so
That's fine.
you can either take another problem to roll another die to get to the best advance get to the thing, you can use your +2, from your edge, or you can accept the hold, you can accept the middling result.
I'll use my edge, that I got, and give myself a +2. I'm self-possessed, so that makes sense. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
Not today.
absolutely.
Not the job.
Yeah, you spend your edge to get actually the edge back. You would keep self-possessed. As you say, gambling is for suckers, and you're not a sucker.
Oh yeah.
You watch the other fiends, Bing, not Bing. Yes, Bing? Yeah, Bing Crosby, you watch gamble their money away, but you wait patiently at the bar. So you spent self-possessed, but you actually get self-possessed back because you got the best result.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Just helps me feel a little bit better about myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a few minutes pass and you walk down the corridor to Whitey's office. You see leaving his office, there's a nervous pinstriped shrimp carrying a folder with a lot of
I'm sorry.
adding machine tapes.
A pinstriped shrimp?
Shrimp of a man, not a literal shrimp. He's small and his suit doesn't fit him very well,
Just
and
a
he's got a
muppet.
he's got a yes, absolutely. Uh, yeah, he looks a little nervous, and he's checking his watch, and he's at a quick clip as he leaves Whitey's office.
Sorry, who is it?
Uh, you can spend a streetwise push to know who it is.
I do wanna do that. Yeah. Okay, so
Absolutely.
I'm down to 2 pushes, but it's fine.
Mhm. This is a great time to remind people that if you wanna give Derekah another push, silver or gold tier gift will do that for you. They're super helpful in getting her way in this world. I would also love Muppet Cthulhu, and in my head, um, this guy whose name is Phil Block is just, like, Beaker in a suit. Yeah.
Okay, Phil Block. What do I know about Phil Block?
You know first of all, Streetwise tells you that Phil knows something. Just from the way he's walking, quick
Mhm.
clip, you just get a hunch, that he might know something.
O
He is, um, Whitey's accountant.
Oh, I have an accounting skill.
It looks like, the Geek Forge redeemed a gold gift, so go ahead and add another push.
Yay, thank you. Oh shit. Okay,
Yeah, I think you stop dead in your tracks, and you look after Phil, and Burl kinda taps you on the arm, and he's like, "Hey, I did you a solid getting in with Whitey. He does not like to be kept waiting. So if we could maybe
oh,
not
yeah,
just stand there."
yeah, for sure, for sure. And I rush in.
Absolutely. You yeah, you see an office sort of decorated in the trappings of, like, rustic manliness. There are a lot of hunting trophies and oak furniture, and a rifle rack behind the desk. And you see Whitey Alexander, and he's pacing back and forth as you enter the room. He's very clearly has things on his mind. Um, yeah, and he says, "Oh, Raymond, how's it going? I didn't expect to see you in here today."
Oh yeah, it's going well. Was that Phil I just saw in a hurry? What lit a
Just
fire under his ass? I probably asked a question
hey,
that
you see him bristle quite a bit, and he says, "Who wants to know?"
No, no one. I just saw him, and I was
He's nobody. Don't worry about it.
for sure. I'm gonna assess honesty here.
Lying. He's not nobody. Um,
For sure, that's his accountant.
yeah, you know he's his bookkeeper.
Uh,
What can I
I'm
help
gonna,
you with?
I'm gonna, ooh. Okay. Um, hey, I'm on a case, and I thought that you might. I think in some way, I, I don't know if this is. I don't know what this falls under. I could see this being streetwise. I could see this being bargaining, and I could see this being. Oh, I don't have flattery. That makes sense. Okay. Anyway, um, but I think I want to name like uh I just wanted to keep you abreast of you know, what's going on here. Something you might be. I have a case of something you might be interested in. Um, your girl, Helen.
Ugh, I know Helen. Helen's my girl. I do
For,
love her.
for sure. Uh, heard she'd been missing for a while and turned up worse for wear.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in gosh, probably 6 weeks now, unfortunately. I heard she went missing for a little bit, and that was, broke my heart. Um, yeah, we didn't. I wanted to go to the house to see her, but we have to keep our relationship under wraps. She doesn't, she has to keep it on the down low, even though her frickin' father spends all his days here, glued to my wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. That. Don't get distracted, Derekah. Um. Well. Yeah. Has he talked to you about her?
Roscoe?
Has Roscoe mentioned
Nah, mostly
Helen?
Roscoe just drinks and he spends money he doesn't have.
Of course, of course. Uh, so you last talked to her like 6 weeks ago before she went missing. Like, well, that must have been it. It must have been worrisome that she was gone. Um, but
Yeah, but if you know anything about Helen, you know she's a free spirit. She comes and goes when she wants, and as much as I'd
absolutely.
like to, I couldn't possibly tie her down.
Do I think that he like has the genuine feelings?
Yeah, yep. Assess Honesty would tell you that he was in love with her. Um, you're not sure based on other conversations you've had whether Helen felt that way about him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but on his part, he was very much like into her. He says, "Hey, I've got honestly quite a lot on my mind. So what about Helen? What can
Yeah.
I speed this
Uh,
up?"
yeah. I just want to help uh figure out what I can of what happened to her. So if there's anything that you know that could be helpful to me, that I could do some discreet acting upon, I'd appreciate it.
I mean, gosh, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is I think Helen broke down because of a freaking witch of a sister. Did you know she had the gall to barge in here and try and make a scene of hauling Helen out a while ago?
Why?
I don't know. I think she just didn't approve of me. And I know she didn't like her father gambling here. She she paid his debts a while ago, but I think she's since cut him off. And honestly, I mean, you don't not to get too far into anybody's business, but he's sort of at the end of his rope here.
Hmm.
Honestly, I mean, mostly the reason I haven't bumped him off yet, frankly, because of how much freaking money he owes me is because I love Helen.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Helen appreciates that. Uh,
Yes. I mean, maybe I've been trying to get something together to maybe bust Helen out of that freaking house. They're basically keeping you a prisoner. But honestly, for the moment, I'm kind of in a spot right now, a spot of trouble. And
anything I
it's
can
probably
do?
best for her to be at home. Hmm?
Anything I can help with?
Nah, it's just some bum name of Bud Barron has been trying to squeeze me on behalf of Bugsy Siegel. And you would know Bugsy Siegel. You have Whitey Alexander who works for Guy McAfee, who is the head of the mob. He's an ex-cop, really a charming, doesn't like to get his hands dirty type of person, but does
Hmm.
what he has to stay on top in LA. He's the current reigning mob boss in LA. Bugsy Siegel has moved in recently um, from the East Coast, and he is the head of something called the System, who is trying to gain power in LA. Your streetwise would tell you that you've been hearing rumors that a magazine company called AM Hilliers has become a mob front recently, and that's where Bud Barron works. Bud Barron works for Bugsy Siegel.
Okay.
So you hear Whitey saying, "Yeah, Bud Barron has been trying to put the squeeze on me to try and get me to pay protections to Bugsy instead of to Guy."
Oh,
But things might get bumpy for a little while, but it's nothing to worry about. Honestly, Guy will run those interlopers out of town, just like he did just like good old Charlie Crawford did to Capone in 27.
mm, yeah. Uh, so then that uh, I'm sure Phil can also help handle that. It's a it's a money situation.
Yeah,
And I'm pushing to try to get. I'm gonna use a push to try to see if I can get any more information about that.
about Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he he bristles up again. Clearly, there's something there, but he doesn't want to talk about it, and he says, "Honestly, we're here about Helen, all right? My business is my own. I'm sharing this to you because you did me a favor the other day, but stay out
Yeah,
of my
for
business."
sure. For sure. I'm gonna head out. Thank you. Um,
Absolutely.
and as I'm leaving, can I do some like I don't know, evidence collection to see if there's anything of note either in his office or as I'm like leaving?
Yeah, you look around and you see nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that seems suspicious or important in the library um, or in the casino surrounding.
Okay, cool. Cool. I leave.
Yeah, you leave the Allegria.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just as you step out into the parking lot of the Allegria, um, a bomb blows up underneath one of the cars. An orange fireball throws the car up into the air and it lands on its back, crushing a couple other vehicles. Go ahead and roll athletics for me to dodge some debris.
How dare you?
I dare.
Uh, okay, I have two dice in athletics, so this could be good. All
Yep,
right.
you need a 10
Rolling
plus to
in.
get the best. Mm-hmm.
Rude.
The
Okay, I
game
guess
has
I'll
factored
roll
in
both
how good
dice.
you are at these. Hmm?
I will roll both dice then.
Yep.
Well, that's a 5.
Okay. So that's middling.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, you can either gain an extra problem to get the advance, or you can accept the middling result.
Advance gives me another die.
Yeah, and I think because it's athletics, does self-possess let you roll another die in athletics?
Self-possessed. No, it's cooler stability.
Cooler stability. Yeah, and another die wouldn't get you to a 10 probably anyway. Um,
Well, another die, if I get a 3 on it, at least. then I can spend my self-possessed get
If
to
you'd like
okay.
to. Or you
I
just accept the middle result.
I'm gonna
That's up
accept
to
the middle result.
you. All right. You're not hurt, but your suit is badly singed, and
Huh.
you're gonna get some smart aleck results about remarks about it until you go home and change because it's
Yeah,
quite badly burned.
for sure.
Yeah,
Well, I was planning on going to talk to Margaret again. I definitely need to change before I do that.
absolutely. As you are like, ah man, I gotta change. You're looking up and around to be like, does anyone have a suit? And you have spot. There are two men sitting in the front seat of a dinged up Ford coupe. And unlike everyone spilling out from the casino, they remain pretty cool. Moments after noticing them, the driver turns the ignition key and starts to drive off.
I want to hop in my car and follow them.
Amazing.
I have
Um,
driving as a skill.
yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to do that. If you spend a streetwise push, I'll tell you more.
Ooh, okay, for sure. I cannot. Okay, I'm pushing. Did I have to spin the push the last time? 'Cause I pushed and nothing happened? Oh no. Hello? Um, well, it looks like Bex is frozen. Uh, please confirm. Oh, I was right. So I am going to uh let's see. Okay, that interwebs. They don't like how it seems. Yeah. Yeah, we well I can tell them about the giveaway. Uh yeah, so we've got the metal cards um donated for us to enter. If you do hashtag RemPC in the comments, you can see in the top right corner the cards are there. They're beautiful. There's one that is like a monarch butterfly type that I really like. So I'm really hoping to be the winner. If you don't want to win, don't put hashtag PC or MPC, and it'll be great. Oh, okay. Well,
I'm back.
thanks, Bugs.
All right, so sorry. There were some technical difficulties on my end. There was such a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrifying actually. Quick question: Did I
Mhm.
spend the when I tried to push about uh Hill, did I spend a push to do that, even though I didn't come up with anything?
Um, you did not spend a push. You spent a push to know Whitey Alexander, and to have
Right.
connection with him, and you spent a push to know who Phil Block was, as opposed
Yes.
to needing to fish for that information.
Yes.
Um, again, you can either fish for information here, or if you spend a push, I can give you a piece of information that you already know about the two bombers.
I spent a push about the two bottom.
Amazing. You've seen them before milling around AM Hillmeyer, which is the magazine company that you know Bud Barron runs.
Oh, so this is like a warning hit
You clocked them
from
because
both.
a lot of shady characters have been gravitating to the loading docks of Hilliers. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Yeah. So you're following the bombers, correct?
Yes. I'm
All
also
right.
I think Dex is piecing together a little bit of like some possible motives and stuff. I think it's possible that this is Bugsy's doing this whole
Mm-hmm.
Helen thing because he's in love with Helen.
I see. All right. All right. So I'm gonna need you to roll a shadowing check to follow the bombers, and I'm gonna let you know you need an 11 plus. to
I
get the
need an
best
11
results.
plus, and I have 2 dice, so I guess I'm rolling both of them. I'm just trying to
Yep.
keep me from getting more. Okay,
Five,
that's a 5.
okay. 5 to 10 is middling. 4 would have been very bad.
Okay, I need an 11.
You need an 11.
Okay, I'm
Or you can accept the middle result.
I'm going to take on a problem. Get another
Okay.
die.
All right. You earn problem 25, obsessive pursuit. If you can read that to
Okay.
the audience, what happens?
Okay, obsessive pursuit. Edge 5. Wait, not 5.
Problem 5. Problem 25.
Problem 5. Yes. Nope. I was just in the wrong
Problem
thing.
25.
Problem 25 says, uh, problem 25 says burned.
Weird. It should say excessive
Obsessive 27. Problem 27, obsessive pursuit.
27. Well, this is a typo in the document.
You're pushing yourself to the point where your frayed nerves have frayed nerves. A -1 on general mental test until you take time to calm yourself down.
Okay.
Okay.
So any of the things that have your abilities that have the two heads by them, those are mental abilities. So you
Mhm.
get a general negative to them.
Noted.
All right. So go ahead and roll the extra die.
Okay. On that extra die, I did in fact uh roll a 2, which was not the 4 that I wanted.
Yeah. That is rough, but you
Um,
get the middle result.
yeah.
All right. The driver of the car realizes you're following him and tries to lose you. You were able to stay on his trail and finally drive past the two men as they get out at Hilliers. They reach into their jacket for guns, but you drive off um, before they can like shoot at you.
Okay. Um, and they stopped where?
They stopped at the magazine company that Bud Barron runs.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna go home.
Amazing. You go home and you change into a clean suit, and at this point, you sleep for the night, I think.
Okay. So I can get rid of my problem now?
Would you like to take some time?
Does sleeping for the night not count as taking time?
It does, but for the folks at home, taking time also, if you've made any enemies, allows your enemies to work against you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to sleep anyway,
Mhm.
that feels like I like, or do I not have to sleep? Like, how does taking
Uh,
time work with?
it's less about, um the sleep mechanic, I would say, doesn't count as taking time. It's more that no one is gonna be awake to talk to right now.
Got you. Okay, and so,
But
but taking time, I need to actively do
yeah,
like,
you need to do like how does Dex de-stress?
uh, I think Dex watches. I was gonna say old movies, but I guess they're not old to him.
He watches a picture.
To see a picture.
Alright. Yeah. Um, you are you've gone to the picture, you've seen, uh yeah, sorry. You've seen, a great
Uh,
movie.
I went to go see Stagecoach.
Yes, absolutely. You saw Stagecoach, you loved it. Um, and you're driving home and someone starts shooting at your car.
Uh-huh.
men roar past, firing driving shots. Go ahead and roll sense trouble for me.
For sure, for sure. And what do I need?
A 3 or less is very bad. A 4 to 5 is middling bad. 6 plus is pretty good, and 11 is great.
I got a 6 on the die.
Okay. Um, you evade them and you recognize Whitey's men. You realize that he felt like you were poking too much into his business. You brought up Phil Block a few times, and he says, that business is my own. Back off."
Okay. Well, that sucks. But I will know a happy thing. Because I have 2 die
Mhm.
in what's the check I just made? Sense
In
trouble.
Yeah.
I have 2 die in sense trouble. I got the best result using only 1 of my die, which
Mhm.
means
Get another push.
I get a push. Do I get
Yes,
an
you do.
edge too or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congrats.
Thank you. Wow. I don't want Whitey mad at me, and now he is. Okay, fair.
You get the feeling that he needed to send you a warning because you were
Yeah.
looking around in his business.
Like he
Uh,
wasn't trying to take me out. This was just
right.
watch your step.
Yeah.
Okay. Rude, but whatever. Message received.
Right.
Um, yeah, I want to talk to Helen.
All right. You want to petition Margaret to talk to Helen. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you call Helen? Do you go to their house?
I'm gonna call Margaret
Yeah. Yeah.
and uh yeah.
You ring up Margaret. What do you say?
Uh hey, it's Dax Raymond or Dex Raymond. Uh I've been working on this case. Gotten a little dicey, but nothing that you need to worry about. Um I have some information for you. Kind of an update, um, a note on your father, and would also like to speak to Helen. Do you have time today that I can swing by?
Um, you hear her troubled voice at the end of the line, and she says, I have time. I can make time." Um, and to presumably her assistant, you hear her saying, "I'm gonna need to move some appointments around. I trust you can handle that. I'll need my morning free." And she says, "You can certainly talk to me. I I guess you can talk to Helen, although I don't know what you might get out of her. She hasn't really spoken since the whatever happened. Um, yeah, I would encourage you, if you have to talk to her, keep it brief. Ideally, I would say you don't need to, but I might be expecting too much.
Noted. Uh, it won't be long. I'm on my way now.
I'll see you shortly."
Mhm. Okay. I, yeah, I drive over. Hopefully I'm not getting shot at again, by anyone else. Great.
Did you
Uh,
did you discard the problem because you took time to get rid of it?
I think so.
Good. Just making sure.
I did. Yes, I did.
Cool. Yeah, you drive over to Margaret's estate. Um, Let me give you a little flavor on what that looks like here. Yeah, the Deacon family manor is a large 3-story neoclassical structure in Beverly Hills. Um, you walk up to the door and knock, and you're greeted by a butler named Wheatcroft. He says, "Good afternoon. I trust you are here to see Miss Margaret. She let me know you were coming. Um, I will go find her for you.
Thank you. Can I don't know, collect evidence, look around while I'm waiting?
Yeah, you look around the front entryway. It is immaculate and decorated in the best of taste. Um, and aside from that, it doesn't have much of note.
Hmm.
Margaret comes to greet you after a couple of minutes and leads you to the sitting room, which is like adjacent to adjacent to the front entryway. Um, there's a couch and a couple chairs. She takes one of the chairs and she says, "How can I help you, Mr. Raymond?"
Uh, yeah, I've been doing some looking around, and I start listing off kind of where I've been and what I've been looking into so far, just to try to reassure her that I am in fact on this case and taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mention, I ask about Clara Nabel.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, she mentioned that that Helen stopped being as generous as she normally was, and she suspects that that was perhaps your intervention. Can you tell me anything about that?
That charlatan was using my sister and her fragile state to drain our accounts. Of course, I cut her off.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, no one deserves to be taken advantage of. That's for sure. Um, was Helen? Was there something off about Helen in the week before she disappeared? Um,
She I mean, she seemed distracted, certainly, but that's not really unusual for Helen. Um, yeah, honestly, unfortunately, I expressed quite a bit of displeasure at her activities, and she stopped confiding in me some years ago due to resentment about that. So, frankly, um, we didn't we didn't talk much. Um, really, she just has quite a wild streak, and I've tried to
yeah,
rein her in as much as I can.
for sure. And I'm sure that it's hard being a pseudo parent, seeing as your father spends a lot of his time at Whitey's establishment.
You see her face crumples at this, like, ah, damn, she found.
Nuts.
Yeah. Um, she said, yes. Well, he wasn't. He wasn't always like that. When the way I knew him growing up, he was a stern Lutheran who had a Protestant work ethic, and um, he spent all his time in his younger years working for the family firm, making it, growing it into what it is now. But when my mother died a couple of years ago, he really just threw in the towel. He announced on the surface that he would enjoy his old age and get the adolescence he had missed, but honestly, that just means he's gambling and spending all his time at you know gambling places, and honestly probably worse places than that.
Hmm. Are you
I
are you aware of and I share with her that the only reason that I share with her that I suspect the only reason Whitey hasn't intervened in the amount of debt that her father owes is because of his feelings for Helen.
um I think she expresses surprise that Helen was seeing Whitey. She didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, um, well, damn. I I paid my father's debts to Whitey Alexander 6 months ago because he was so in debt that his life was in danger, honestly. And I warned him that I wouldn't pay him off again. Um, the company can't just be a bottomless piggy bank for his excesses. And according to him, he learned his lesson and has only been gambling in amounts he can afford to lose. But
Seems to not be the case anymore.
I suppose that's
Word is that you came in and dragged your sister out of uh, Whitey's establishment.
I did once a few months ago. I got fed up. I got fed up with her antics and I pulled her out. And I that was around the same time that I paid my father's debts. And I saw her there that day and I snapped. And I said she had to come home. And for a while she did, and then Helen.
Actually, I don't, and I would in fact like to speak to her for a moment.
Yes, I suppose if that's necessary.
Um, yeah. Before I do, I ask. Um, I was. You said that her. I don't remember the word. Her. It's not shawl, but it's
Hmm.
something like that.
The
Her
shift?
shift. Thank you. Her shift
Yeah.
was covered in blood. But I was also told she had just superficial injuries that would not explain the amount of blood. Um,
Well, I'm not a doctor, but um you can certainly have what what scant evidence there is. And
yeah,
I
I
will
love that.
the police returned it to me so helpfully. Um yes, I will when we're done here I'll get you that information. And the evidence that was given to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you go to Margaret's room, sorry, Helen's room, and she sits on the edge of her bed, staring into space. Um, yeah, there's a nurse ready to intervene at any moment. You notice the room is really bare of really like anything Helen could use to hurt herself. There's nothing with hard edges, nothing sharp. Um, the bathroom has no mirror. You see there's an adjoining bathroom and the door is open. You look through.
Hmm.
Nothing that Helen could use to hurt herself. Um, Helen sits on the edge of a bed wearing a clean house coat that the nurse has wrapped her in for the occasion. Um, her hair is still wet from a recent shower and it hangs in a disordered mess. She stares straight ahead at the wall, moving her lips as if mumbling, but she's not making any sound. Um, what do you do?
I think I go and sit in front of her, uh, and I think I want to try to inspire her.
Sure.
I think I want to name things that I know about her, like that she's lively, that she cares a lot about the world. I kind of like there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of things that like she enjoyed and things to live for. Um, and you know, like your sister, Whitey,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, all want you to, Clara, all want you to recoup. And if there's anything that I can do to help that process, to find um, out what happened to you, or to help you move forward, please let me know.
Do you look into her eyes as you say that?
Yes, but the fact that you asked me that terrified me.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll stability for me.
Dag nabbit! Rebecca, you didn't tell me this was horror.
Hmm?
What do I need?
You need an 8 plus for the best. 5 to 7 is a mid, and 4 or less is bad.
Okay, I have 2 dice. I rolled
Yeah.
1. I got a 3. I'm gonna roll another die.
Okay.
I got a 1. That's 4. I'm
Okay.
good. Okay, but it's fine because um I'm I'm gonna give myself I get another die if I take a problem. What am I trying to hit? 4 is
So
bad
you're trying to hit an 8.
for sure.
You this is a stability roll, so you could spend your edge to get another die, or you could take on an extra problem to get another die. You could do both of those things if it doesn't yield you your result, if you
Okay,
wanted.
I'm gonna spend my self-possessed. You're right. I can get an extra die on stability. Great. I'm gonna spend that. Roll another die. Goodness gracious. Give me a 4. I got a 4.
All right. Amazing.
I don't I
Uh,
don't I don't like this. Okay, we're good.
you look into her eyes, and for a moment you feel this vertiginous sense that you're falling, as if the madness you see there could pull you in. Um,
Oof.
you are only momentarily shaken, however, and you snap out of it. Go ahead and take Edge 6, Bedrock Skepticism.
Uh, okay, Edge 6. Um, says the supernatural, uh, malign deities. What a load of hogwash! You'll never fall for that, Duncan. Spend to counter a mythos shock problem.
Mhm. We'll figure out what those are later.
Yeah, I don't, I don't like
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Having staved off insanity for the moment, I'm gonna need you to roll cool because you noticed while you were staring into her eyes that she is quite beautiful, if in a tragic way.
Oh my gosh, that's messed up. That's so messed up.
I know, and you have a negative penalty because you have the problem lonely. So you have a -2 to whatever you roll.
Oh no. Okay, wait. I have to roll cool,
Yep, roll
and I have
cool.
a -2.
You're aiming for a 4. 2 to 3 is okay, 1 is bad.
I rolled a 5,
Okay, so that brings
but
you
I
down
get
to a
-2, and that's a 3.
mhm.
Um,
So that's middling. You can either accept an extra problem to bump it up, or you can accept the middle.
I need to accept another problem because I can't. I this is Whitey's girl, and I can't.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll another die.
Okay, that's another 5.
Okay, so you handily beat the advance of 4. Um, and you see why someone might fall in love with this beautiful and damaged waif. Someone would consider her a white someone would consider himself her white knight and swear that they could revive her so that they could live forever with her in a magical castle. Fortunately, you are not that kind of someone. Go ahead and take Edge 1, Self-Possessed, if you don't
Oh,
already have it.
good. I keep getting that one back, and I do in fact need it.
Yeah, it's really a good one to have. But also take extra problem 18, Bad
Oh, I forgot
Memories.
about that. I can have it.
Mhm.
Self-possessed is the extra die. Whatever. Okay, what problem? Sorry.
Bad Memories. It should be 18.
It's not. It's they're off by 2 for some reason. Bad
So,
memories is problem 20.
all right.
Okay, to prevent yourself from making a dumb mistake, you stirred up recollection of a similar blunder you made in the past. Oh, that opened up feelings you thought you'd buried long ago.
Uh-huh.
-2 penalties on my next cool test. -1 on the one after that. Then discard this card. That's brutal.
Yeah, you lost your cool a little bit. Uh, Helen reminded you of her, and
Ah,
you knew enough to sidestep your mistake.
Delilah.
Yeah. But in response to your promptings, she doesn't respond. She continues to stare into space, mumbling silently to herself, and nothing you
What
say can snap her
what
from
is
her
she
stupor.
mumbling?
It's silent. It's wordless.
Got it. Okay, so she's her mouth is moving, but nothing's coming out.
Yeah, and she
Okay.
just has a haunted look as she stares past you into the void beyond.
Same. Um. Okay. I leave her be now. I.
Yeah, absolutely. You as you leave her room, you bump into Roscoe again, falling, but this time almost literally bumping into him
Mhm.
as he was going to see his daughter. He is portly and balding, and on the surface, he's a jolly, nudging rascal, always up for a bit of fun. Um, yeah, so he says, "Oh, hi! I didn't know you were here. Are you? Who are you?"
Uh. Dex Reynolds. What? That's not my name, is it? Raymond. Dex
Raymond.
Raymond.
Close.
Dex Raymond. Listen, I lost my cool.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
still thinking of Delilah.
Nice to
Um.
meet you,
Uh.
Raymond. I'm Roscoe
This
Deacon, and
is
this is my house.
yes. It's a lovely, lovely home you have here. Uh. Yeah. Thanks for it. Dex Reynolds. It's far enough away from my real name that you'll never find me. Um.
Absolutely. He says,
Yeah.
what brings you to my home this day?"
Uh. Is Margaret here?
Margaret has stayed in the room with Helen, presumably to just be with her. She gives you a curt but polite goodbye and knows that you can see yourself out.
Okay. I think I tell him then um, that uh, that there's concern about Helen, and I wanted to see what I could do.
I mean, we're all concerned about Helen. She's in quite a state. I was just going to see her, pat her hand, read her something. She has a little, novel under his arm.
Um, what's he reading?
He's reading
Is it
insert
Wuthering
relevant
Heights?
here.
It's
Yeah,
Wuthering
he's
Heights.
reading Wuthering Heights.
Amazing. You know they just made that into a movie.
Oh, no way. I didn't. I don't keep up with the movies much.
It's on my list of things to see. I just saw Stagecoach.
Oh. I haven't been to the movies in some time, honestly. I should go.
Hmm. Um, are there things I'm supposed to be asking him? Because I don't really want to talk to him.
I mean, there are things you could push him for. Um,
Um,
Specifically more information about Helen and Whitey.
for sure. I think I will.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, I think Dex just wants to get out.
Yeah, you head out. Where do you go next?
Next, I think that people should enter our giveaway hashtag RunPC while we go on break.
Sounds like a plan. See you in 10, everybody.
I
All
think I
right.
think as Bex goes to walk out of the house, he
Mhm.
turns around because he remembers that there's evidence that Margaret was supposed to give him.
Yes. Yeah. So you see Margaret comes down having had the same realization, and she hands you both the shift that um, Helen was wearing, as well as a jar of something. It's a big, sort of
Pickles.
like gallon jar with a handwritten label on it.
It's pickles.
Would you like to look at it?
No, I'm just gonna assume it's pickles.
For sure. It is a clear liquid, so
Mm, lots of vinegar. And
invisible
okay,
pickle.
I will. I will read the label.
Yeah, it has a yeah, it's writing on the tape. It you know streetwise that like it's a man's handwriting and it's sort of shaky. Um and maybe this guy is not super well educated either cuz it's sort of it's labeled as moonshine. Um and one sniff of it confirms that well it's alcohol of some kind.
Mhm.
Do you taste it?
No,
All
why
right.
would I do that?
To confirm whether it's alcohol or not.
No, I will ask. Is this alcohol?
Yeah, I'll say Streetwise lets you know this is like low grade moonshine, like what was made in the Prohibition.
Gotcha.
Um, since booze has become legal again, you don't really see it much anymore. Um, yeah, the container is nearly full. If anyone drank any of it, it must have been just a single drop, like a single swig of it.
Like
Um,
who drinks a single drop of alcohol? For sure. It's like
yeah.
a taste.
And then there's also a date on it that's just over 3 months old.
Do I think that's significant?
I think knowing that you've been immersed in this timeline, you would know that that's about a month before Helen disappeared,
Mhm.
um, and that it was in her possession when she was found.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to actually thank you. I bring it with me.
Mhm.
I put it in my car. There's no open container laws, so it's fine.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
I drive off to the magazine company, which name I definitely remember, but I am gonna let you say it.
For sure, because this is the thing that I'm so good at saying. It's A.M. Hilliers. That's the
Okay.
uh, magazine and newspaper distribution company. Um, yeah, you would know just from your connections that Ben Siegel, also known as Bugsy, um, wouldn't find himself there, but Bud Barron treats it as his main base of operations. So yeah, how do you approach?
Well, seeing as I definitely watched them bomb someone and then they chased me or did they chase me? I don't remember now.
Hmm.
Um, but we had an
Well,
encounter.
you followed them,
Yes,
and
I
they
followed
they
them
knew
and they saw
someone
me.
was following you, but I don't think they saw you.
Oh yeah, because I was stealthy. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think how do I approach? Oh, that question gives me anxiety. Okay, how do I approach? I am going to uh I did they s- do I know if they saw me see them at the bombing?
Um, you saw them, but you don't think they saw you. And actually, as you're standing outside of the building, you see a sign posted by the door that says wholesale business closed to the public. Um, You look around, there's not anyone who's outside the warehouse at all, and there doesn't seem to be a front desk. Um, but you notice that um, there is someone who's sort of strolling around, seems to be a guard, a little bit casual, but you recognize him as one of the bombers.
Mm. All right, I'm gonna go talk to him.
Amazing. Yeah, you walk through the front door, and he immediately moves to say, like, hey, sorry, buddy, we are not open to the public. Um,
All right.
what can I do for you?
I'm here to talk to Bud.
Oh, you're here to talk to Bud. You're just gonna waltz in and talk to Bud? Why do you need to
Uh,
talk to Bud?
I pull out my pocket watch. I look at it, snap it closed, put it back in my pocket, and I stand real tall and I try to intimidate him. I say, "I'm here to talk to Bud."
Absolutely. It sounds like you're trying to intimidate him.
Yep, I am.
I'm gonna
Um,
need you to send a
I'm gonna
push.
yeah, I'm gonna push.
Absolutely. Yeah, he says, "Oh, you're here to talk to Bud. Okay, absolutely." And you can see he's meeting your intimidation with like a blasé sort of effect, but you can tell that he's a little bit shorter than you, and he saw
Yeah.
you puff up, and he's like, "I don't have the muscles that this guy has." Uh, and he says, "All right, yeah, let me go. Let's go talk to Bud." And he escorts you there just to make sure that you don't get into other stuff on the way.
Absolutely. I will look at everything on the way.
For
Collect
sure.
evidence.
Yeah, I think as you walk past, it's like a warehouse and it's full of tall shelves of newspapers and magazines and other accoutrement of the business that make it sort of maze-like
Hmm.
as you walk through. But one of the doors you walk past is open and you see on a glance in, there are several more of the bottles like the one Helen had that are empty in a wastebasket. You don't have time to look any closer than that because you are headed directly to Bud.
Okay. I think Dex is racking his brain of what to ask first as he's like following.
Hmm. Yeah. So you arrive to the office of Bud Barron, and let's see here. He's kind of he's a smooth talking, handshaking type of person. So he immediately sees that you were escorted quite closely, and he says, "All right, all right, James. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. There's no need for that. We've had a number of break-ins, and he's a little overeager, and he sends James out of the room. Um, honestly, I think it's just kids looking to pinch fitness magazines, but you know, in
Yeah.
yeah, periodical distribution, that's the type of thing is not known to happen.
Yeah. Uh, let me be um let me be frank, uh, Bud. As uh, what do I want to use? Hmm. Uh, maybe accounting. I literally don't know if that applies, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to use accounting to talk about just like bottom line. Uh, I'm gonna say it's not good when your stuff gets out and it's not supposed to. And I found a bottle quite like what I saw in that closet back there. You mentioned break-ins. You happen to be missing any moonshine?
Missing, no. The moonshine. Oh, that was something Mickey brought in for the guys. Mickey Cohen, he's one of my guys. And you would know Mickey Cohen is a recent transplant from Brooklyn. he is the thug. He is the muscle for uh,
Gotcha.
Bugsy.
Good.
So he said, "Yeah, no, Mickey brought that in. One of his guys makes moonshine, and our guys were interested to try it. So he brought it in. Nice of him."
Hmm. How was it?
Oh, I didn't have any. I don't go in for the cheap stuff. And he
Uh,
points to a
Becks.
cabinet where he has some very expensive liquor on display.
Ah. Any of your guys around that did have some? I'd love to hear more about it.
I think James probably had some, but he said it was terrible.
Okay. Great. Listen. Uh, I know there's a rival going on. A bit between you and Whitley.
Whitey,
Uh, yep. Whitey. What I said the first time. Uh, what's and that's really none of my business except um
well, you're right on that count.
there's a there's a broad that I'm trying to get more information about uh and you know she might be caught in the middle of this, so what do you know about Whitey's girl, Helen?
Great girl. You're asking quite a lot of questions. I thought I was here for a magazine interview. I thought we were here to talk business, but I guess not. I will let you know. You're gonna need to work a little bit for him to just spill his guts to you. He's
For sure.
pretty high
He's
up in the system.
Yeah, I just thought if I asked nicely, it would be fine.
Sure, and you can
Um,
totally push intimidation or reassurance, and either of those would probably work. But I will need you to spend a push because he's not just
Absolutely.
gonna share.
Um, he doesn't want to just spill his guts. I'm going to then. I'm gonna spend a push to reassurance.
Absolutely.
I'm not
So
trying
you
to get in the midst of this feud. I'm really just trying to find information about this situation.
absolutely. He says, "Yeah, Helen. I know Helen Deacon. She it's a shame what happened to her. Uh, I met her because I mean, Bugsy told me to lean on Whitey for protection money, to see if we can get him for us instead of for McAfee. So, I did that, and then Deacon, Whitey's twist, pulls him aside, pulls Bugsy right aside on the casino floor in full view of everybody, which is insane. Um, Bugsy was at the Allegria, and Helen pulled him aside, which no one does that to Bugsy. No one's gonna embarrass him by
Mm,
talking business. No one, I mean, no one saw, but like they could have. I saw. Um, she said she had a way for them to uh, get this casino away from Whitey with Guy's permission, and that was like more than we could have hoped for. Um, when Bugsy was blowing her off, she came to me, and she was making eyes at me like I figure she probably does for any man who she wants to do her a favor. But I know way better than to get involved with another connected guy's woman. So, I passed down on the chain. I sent her down to Mickey. Because like if yeah, I'll let Crazy Mickey handle her. If it amounts to anything, I can get credit for making the contact, and like if it doesn't, it's Cohen's fault if it all blows up. So I sent
mhm.
her over there.
Okay. She wanted to hand over Mickey's establishment to Bugsy.
Yeah, it sounds like she was trying to. She said she could get a hold of the books, and prove that Whitey had been skimming from Guy for a long time. And with that, Guy wouldn't want to work with Whitey anymore. Bada bing, bada boom, the Allegria is ours.
I make a note that maybe I should talk to Phil. But uh, and that didn't happen.
I mean, next thing I heard, um, she gave the books to Mickey. She got them and gave them to Mickey, and he passed them on to Bugsy. Sorry, Ben. Don't let him catch you calling him Bugsy. It does not go well for those people.
Noted.
Uh, yeah, she passed him off to Mickey, who gave him to Ben, and of course, Siegel is trying to decide whether Helen's scheme is, harebrained or actually genius, and then, uh, yeah, then she goes to poke the bear because nothing's happened, and it's the last I heard from her. Figured it's none of my business, and then she turns up with amnesia. Also, this is none of my business. None of this is any of my business, and you didn't hear any of it from me. That goes without saying.
Absolutely. Uh, anyway, I can have a meeting with Ben.
With Bugsy, uh, unlikely. Unlikely to get a meeting with Bugsy. Maybe Mickey? That would be more your direct in. But, I mean, Siegel tries to keep himself to himself.
Yeah. Uh, Mickey works. Um, yeah. How do I get an appointment with Mickey?
Um, he's always out and about. It's kind of hard to pin him down, but if you check out one of the many, like, and he lists off a few um, popular haunts for nightlife and for other various goings on,
Hmm.
he's probably hanging around one of those. So if you go ahead and find him there, you know, you'll probably be able to talk to him.
And I'd just like to kind of assess honesty. Like, do I feel like he's on the up and up, or if he's skirting around anything?
Yeah, I think you know that while what he said is true, the fact that um he's like, yeah, she sort of embarrassed him and that's the last I heard from her is just like a smooth way to put that. Um
Mhm. Yeah, though. So there was more involvement.
yeah, he wasn't you get the feeling he wasn't directly involved but that maybe he feels like his guys were more he's letting on.
Yeah, that they might be connected. The events
Right.
might be connected. Yes,
The events might be connected. The fact that
absolutely.
she tried to call out Bugsy on his inaction on the information she provided, and the fact that she showed up later with no memory might have something to do with each other.
Yeah. Okay. Do I feel like it's better to talk to Phil or talk to mm, uh, Mikey?
Make you feel
Mickey.
I think you, with your streetwise, are able to put together like, oh, he, uh,
Was
Bud
upset
Barron.
because the books were missing.
Yeah, the books are missing. That's probably why Phil was upset. That's probably why Whitey was upset. Um, also, you hear from Bud Barron that Helen makes eyes at people to get what she wants, and you kind of can put two and two together that she got the book somehow. Probably she made eyes at Phil Block to get them.
Which is doubly dangerous because it's
Yes,
Whitey's girl. Okay, sweet. So
yes,
there's no real need to talk to Phil, so I'm off to
yeah,
Mickey.
perfect. Yeah, you cruise around for a few hours, trying just going to the local haunts, and eventually you find him. Um, he's in a gin joint. He's having a good time. It's his night
Hmm.
off. Yeah,
I'm about to ruin my
and
vision.
yeah, you know that he is like I said, recent Brooklyn transplant, and he's the muscle
Mm.
for uh, Ben Siegel. Yeah, you find him at the bar.
Uh,
Oh, the other piece of information that you would know is while he is by all accounts a rough and tumble character, um, his one redeeming quality is that he would gleefully take down a Nazi. Um, so that that makes you think that you might be able to get it in with him
ah,
by giving him information about Pelly.
oh, amazing. Okay. Yeah, I do that. I go up to talk to him, and I'm like, "Hey, Mickey." He may not be an honest bug, but he's still an American. Amazing. Also, hi, Billy.
Hey, just
Um,
out of curiosity, how many pushes do you have left?
one, I
Mm,
think.
cool. If you want to help Derekah get a couple more pushes,
I might in
feel
the
free
end
to make
game
a
need some more pushes.
It might. Or
Uh,
it might go really poorly. We'll see.
silver or gold gifts, they give me pushes, and I would like that.
Silver or gold gifts.
I would argue that a gold should give me two, but
Absolutely.
yes, okay, I have two pushes then. Okay, because
Perfect.
I did get a gold gift.
Amazing.
Um, and another gold gift. Jen, ah,
Oh,
okay,
damn.
I'm
I
good.
shouldn't have said that. It's too late.
Haha, ha 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 ha. Okay, I'm going to. I'm gonna. I wanna. Can I use a push to just kind of get to the point with
Yeah.
Mickey?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you use a push.
I
And you can
wanna.
either go for it.
I think with that, I wanna use like bargain. Of like I've got
Absolutely.
some information you might be interested in. But I'm gonna need some information to make that worthwhile.
Yeah.
You can't. Becks can't have pushes, Tom. Why are you always against me?
I appreciate the effort.
Also, happy birthday. I'm sorry I missed it yesterday. I love you a lot.
Aw, happy birthday, Tom. All right. We gotta wrap this up. We're we're getting to the end of time. So what we're gonna do is summarize. Because you spent a push to strike a bargain, yeah, you trade information with Mickey about Pelly's Silver Legion types. And he says, "Oh, well, I guess they're in good need of a good beating." Uh,
I'm gonna go
yeah,
punch some Nazis.
and frankly, he's a little bit more forthcoming than you might expect because he's like, in his mind, he's done the better thing, um, which we'll get to in a second. So you find out through Mickey that Helen went to Bud Barron first at the Allegria, but Bud, um, he passed him on to Mickey, which you knew from Bud.
Hmm.
Um, he needed Mickey to take a hand because he's not exactly a mover or a shaker. Everyone needs Mickey sooner or later. That's Mickey's opinion. He's like, I do the hard work. No one wants to do the hard work. Nobody wants to work these days. I will work. That's Mickey.
Oh.
So he met with Helen at his friend's garage. He says 2 or 3 times, depending on how you look at it. The first time they worked out the details of their trade, Whitey's books, in exchange for a hit on Whitey and forgiveness of Roscoe's debts. So that was part of what Helen was saying is like she's vying for her dad's like forgiving his debts as part of like the shift to
Mm.
but um second time Helen gave Mickey the books. And Mickey gave them to Bugsy. Bugsy put them away, waiting for the right moment. Um, and his mention of the third time, he doesn't quite explain yet. Um, yeah, they met at a garage in San Bernardino because it's out of the way. You can't miss it because there's an abandoned oil rig on the property. The garage owner is Roy Bedacht. Um, yeah, Mickey hooked up with Roy when he arrived in town and started using Roy's garage as a way out of the way spot for meetings. He also had him chop up some stolen automobiles. Um, What he doesn't say, but what you kind of put together, is that automobiles is code. He doesn't just
Just for
dispose of automobiles,
bodies.
he is also their body. Um, he turns out Roy turns out to have another useful talent. According to Roy, he makes a moonshine that puts your memories to sleep. Um,
Oh.
Mickey gave Helen some of Roy's regular moonshine a little while ago because she seemed to be interested, probably because she's a wild girl and it appealed to her streak. Um, yeah. Then one night, out of the blue, Helen tried to make a scene by approaching Siegel directly at a club. Mickey intercepted her because you do not do that to Bugsy, and drove her to Roy's. Um, and this is where Mickey's like, yeah, no, I could have had her knocked off by Roy, but I didn't. I just had her memories cleared. So like, I'm a good guy. She's not dead. She's fine now, and
Mhm.
I assume the effects of the moonshine will wear off eventually. So in his mind, he's done this temporary solution to like make the problem go
Right.
away.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Except there's an eldritch horror behind her eyes, but that's fine. Um,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, that's what you know. You know that he handed her over to Roy to clear her memories. And he says, "Hey, thank you for the heads up on Pelly. I'm gonna go knock him down a few pegs, if you know what I mean."
Yep. Godspeed. And I head off to go to the garage.
Okay.
Is this the scene?
This is the like final climactic scene. So
Oh, it's gonna
I'm
get
proud
really scary.
I'm proud to report that you have followed the right clues in a very direct path to get here. So good on you. And now here we go. All right. When you reach the garage, you find it apparently deserted. Um, there's no one around, and you do some poking around. When I'm gonna need you to roll to sneak for me.
Mhm.
Roll stealth.
Um, I have
And just
uh
for your
two
information, this is a
two dice and
quick
stuff.
yeah, this is a quick test, not a challenge. So it's not life or death at this point.
Uh,
You've gotten 2
so
more pushes, which is great.
oh, okay. You spelled my name wrong, but it's fine. I love you anyway. Um, okay. I'm supposed to roll this. All right. I rolled a one.
Okay. Yeah, you make a lot
And
of
I get
noise.
another die. I get another die though. I forgot.
You
I
do.
have two d6 in this. That's a
Mhm.
two. That's a total of three.
For sure. You make, frankly, a good amount of noise.
I'm
Um,
gonna no. Oh, I can use a push, right?
yeah, go ahead and use a push. I wouldn't let you, get an extra problem because it's a quick test, not a challenge. But you can use a push to bump that up by 2, I'll say. So you're pretty stealthy as you're moving around. Um, and you buy yourself a little bit of time, um, yeah, to sneak around, to look around.
Okay.
You see as you walk in, it's the garage sits on a really open expanse near the desert, so it doesn't have a lot of cover. And it
Mhm.
also doesn't have a lot of nature to mask movement. So that's why you need to be a
Yeah.
little bit more stealthy as you're moving around. It's just a really open warehouse. In one corner, you see a drop cloth that covers something, um, and you see pieces of cars around. Yeah, you're poking around.
Yeah. Collecting evidence and whatnot.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think
Um.
because you were like, I'm collecting evidence, you look up under the drop cloth, um, you see an ordinary moonshine setup. It doesn't appear to be any different from any other setup that would be distilling that. Um, while you're over by the moonshine, you start hearing a low moaning from the trunk of one of the cars.
Yeah, I go over to the car. And I would sense trouble help me here to
Um,
decide if I want to open the trunk or not?
yeah, go ahead and roll sense trouble.
Okay. Um, that's a total of 4.
Yeah, on both dice?
Yeah, using both dice.
Okay. I think at this point, like, there is definitely someone in the trunk of the car. Sounds like a human. Um, so it's up to you whether or not you wanna get involved in whatever's in the trunk of the car, whoever's in the trunk of the car.
Yeah, I pop it open.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll stability for me. So here's what you're reacting to. You open the
That's a
trunk.
6 on the first die. What do I need?
Okay, you need an 11 to do the most, but a 4 to 10 will get you out of penalty range.
Okay, I got 8. You said I needed what now?
An 11 if you want, like,
Okay,
the absolute.
no, that's fine. 8 is fine.
8 is, yeah, I think so. You open the trunk and you see, um, your connection from Whitey Alexander's club. You see Burl Treehorn, wrapped in a drop cloth, bleeding profusely, beaten so badly that you can see part of his brain. Um, so you needed to roll stability to not vomit and, like,
Yeah, no,
pass out on the floor.
yeah.
Yeah, so on an 8, you stagger back in horror. Um, you can't help yourself. Anyone would. And that actually gives you a little bit of a penalty on the upcoming sense trouble test. Don't mind that.
Which I need to roll now?
Yeah, go ahead and roll sense trouble.
Okay, and
You
I
get a
get
you get a -2 to this, and you're looking to get, a 13 is the best, a 7 to 12, yeah, 7 to 12 is middling, and 6 or less is very bad.
okay, well, I rolled a 5 on the first die, but that's -2.
Yep, so that
So it's
becomes a
only
3.
a 3, and
Go
but I
ahead and
do
roll
have
your
2 dice, so here's my second. That's a 1, brings me up to a 4. What do I need?
you need to for the best, a 13, but you really want a 7.
A 7.
Yeah, you can try and take an extra problem to roll an extra die if you'd like.
No.
Okay,
Yes, yes. No, I got too scared, I'm doing it.
okay.
Okay, what problem am I taking?
Um, roll your die first, and then I'll
I
tell you.
got another 1. What if 5, 6, 7 minus 2 is 5?
Well, the good news is that taking an extra problem doesn't actually do anything in this scenario, so that was free. Um, the really bad news is that, Roy snuck up behind you while you were in shock over Burl, and, he clocks you in the back of the head with a wrench, and you pass out.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Yeah. You come to, you return to head-splitting consciousness, accompanied by the rattling of a winch, as Roy lowers you in a locked cage. Um, you wake up and you've been covered in the sheet that was on Burl's body. So you're wrapped in a bloody sheet, and Roy is standing over you, chuckling in sadistic anticipation. You're being lowered into a hole in the floor. And he says, "Nice to meet you, Raymond. I've heard you've been asking around. Got any final questions?"
Yeah, can you let me out, please?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna
Okay,
do
for
that.
sure, for sure.
I appreciate your
Oh,
chutzpah.
why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this? This is my job, and also, I have a lot of fun here. You'll soon realize that, the moonshine ain't exactly what's clearing people's memories, and, I don't mind telling you this because you won't remember anything in a little bit anyway.
Goodness
Uh,
gracious.
yeah, so he goes on a little bit of a diatribe, like a villain.
Yeah.
Um, he's- he lays out the fact that um, he came to LA. He was raised in the cult of Cthulhu by his parents, and so he was ready to sense like the paranormal when he came to LA, and so he chose this spot for his garage because he felt the rumblings. Um, you realize that under the garage, he lays out that there is a cavern of tunnels, like a system of tunnels that are inhabited by something he calls a ghoul. You don't know exactly what that is yet, but you feel like you're about to. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any other questions for him while you're being winched down?
Yeah. Uh, hey, real quick, do you mind if I use your restroom?
No, it's all right. I'll toss you down a bucket in a few minutes if you still need it.
I can have it. Okay, for sure. I don't know why I thought that might work.
Yeah. So
Uh,
he winches you down, and you feel the cage hit the ground with a shuddering thump, and you are surrounded by pitch darkness, and Roy is just gleefully giggling as he anticipates what's about to happen.
cool. I wanna use athletics to try to climb back up the chain.
You are in a locked cage.
I'm gonna unlock the cage. I have locksmith.
Absolutely. You go ahead and you start going for the bolt, but that unfortunately that noise, along with you would assume the smell of the blood on the drop cloth, has started to draw in these creatures. Um,
Oh,
you see out of the darkness emerge um, hunched humanoids with like rubbery, thick, translucent skin. They look a little bit slick.
I
They are
immediately
they
stop.
have tusks. They have tusks and sort of canine snouts, and
Uh-huh.
they immediately, at the sound and the smell, they gather tightly around the cage, banging on it and growling and jostling, and they appear to be writhing over one another in a pack. Um,
I
yeah,
do start staring at my shoes. They're really interesting to me right now.
for sure, absolutely. This sight you can tell is what sent Helen spiraling into her coma. Um, Roy says, "Now you're not a corpse, not yet, so don't worry, they won't eat you. You just won't remember anything."
What causes the lack of memory?
Oh, I think you'll find out. Go ahead and roll stability.
Oh, nuts.
And because you know that they won't eat you, you get a +2 bonus. But you're looking
Okay,
for a 9 or more.
okay. I rolled a 3 on my first one. A +2 is 5.
Mhm.
I'm gonna roll my second die. That's a 2, so that's a 7. I'm gonna spend my uh uh extra die for cooler stability for self
Mhm.
possessed. I still have that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend that to roll. That's a 1.
So what does that bring you to total?
Uh, 8.
8.
I need a 9
Alright. You need a 9, but a 4 to 8 is like okay.
for sure.
All right. I will say because we're getting to the end, if you want to spend a couple pushes to get that extra 1, I'll allow that. But
2 pushes?
yeah, 2 to get
Yeah,
1.
okay, yeah, I'll do that.
You have the highest. All right. Yeah, you keep your cool in the face of horrifying monstrosities. The sight of these creatures raging inches from your face would be enough to rattle anybody. If you tell anyone about this, they will absolutely think you're insane, but you are
Mhm.
stronger than Helen was, and you are not gonna crack. Gain edge 12. Strange, not maddening.
Oh. Okay, spend to counter a mythos shock problem. Is that what this is? Is a mythos shock problem?
Mythos shock problem, it is there are problems that are ongoing, like, if you had,
Got
fallen
it.
into Helen's eyes in madness, you would have gotten a mythos shock problem that could only be countered by an edge like this.
Okay, I have two edges like this, so I'm way less afraid now. Okay, let's
Perfect.
go. Let's do this.
Alright. Um, yeah, you see these ghouls attacking the cage, but you know that they probably won't eat you because 'cause you're alive.
Hmm.
Um, do you happen to have a I'm gonna need you to roll preparedness for me. On a 5 or a 6, you have a gun that was hidden well enough that Roy can't find
I
it.
got five.
Heck yeah. Amazing. Yeah, you can Roy is laughing and staring down at you, fully convinced that you've lost your memory.
Hmm.
Um, you because you have a gun so well hidden, you can shoot him if you'd
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. I absolutely shoot him.
Alright. Yeah, Roy collapses and he's bleeding to death, and you see the gunshot makes the ghouls look up and they see that he is dying. Um, when it seems clear that he is dead, the most enterprising of them climbs up the cage past you, over and up the chain, drags his body to the edge, and drops it down into the hole. The other ghouls wait politely for him to get back, and then they duck in and
That's
they begin.
so funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, they're really weirdly polite. Uh, and then
Can I
they tuck
pick the
in.
lock and leave while they're doing this?
You can, but first you watch a guy get eaten, so you will need to roll stability. You're looking for a 5 plus,
That doesn't make sense.
doesn't it?
I got a 4 on my first die, which means I got a 6 on my second one. That's a 10.
Okay.
Take that.
Yeah, the ghouls tear into this man's eviscerated corpse.
And I just go, he deserved it.
Yeah, you realize that you should look away.
Mhm.
And fortunately, you know that there is enough gin in the world to help you mostly forget what you saw.
Yeah.
Um, after they eat Roy, the ghouls do depart, and you are able to successfully pick the lock.
Amazing. I climb up. Um, I'm gonna use a push to pass an athletics test to
Yeah,
do
go
that.
ahead and if you push athletics, I'll let you just climb.
Yes, I'm gonna do that.
Absolutely.
Uh, yeah.
Amazing.
Um,
You make it out. You are covered in Burl Treehorn's blood. You're covered in dirt and grime. But other you will have to change suits again. But other than that, you are wildly unscathed by the horrors you have just experienced. And Roy Bedocht is no longer.
yeah. Yeah. I think I take off the suit coat, and I've got the shirt underneath that's way less whatever. And I just head to a bar.
Absolutely. You head to a bar and you drink your troubles away. The next day, I think you go to see Margaret and let her know what has happened. It's
Mhm.
up to you how much detail you share of the supernatural nature of things, knowing that she's a skeptic. Um, but all in all, you reach a satisfying conclusion with her of
And I buy
uh,
more suits with the money that I made.
absolutely. She pays you your rate plus a little extra for services rendered and
Mhm.
says, I think it's best if we never see or speak to each other again.
Okay.
Yeah, you're heartbroken and you on your lonely problem and I think you go back to a bar to nurse another drink and
Yeah.
and wait for another case.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And wrapping up at
Yeah.
29 on the dot,
Who won? I hope it was me. Lord, did I win? The winner is
All right.
Heslin.
Those are so cool. What a good prize. Thank you so much for tuning in. Play more games. Is there anything else I need to be saying? Stick around for our next stream.
Join our Discord.
Yeah, join our Discord. Please do.